Better get ready then. Okay, so we got a drink, Spidey's installed, controller in hand. Let's relax and swing around for a little bit. Okay, start up, that's nice. Insomniac logo, okay. Come on, just start the game up already. There we go. Alright. Time to get down to business. Wait, what the hell is happening? TV, wake up! Come on. Something worked, damn it. Wait, Xavier, is that you? How the hell did you get in my TV?
Review Destroy All Humans.
Beg your pardon?
Review Destroy All...
Okay, Dick, I heard you the first time. I'm just asking, why me? I'm sure you got plenty of other friends that'll gladly do this for you. Hell, why don't you do one yourself?
Well, I figured you were the most qualified to do it, since besides David, you're the only other person I know that loves this game as much as I do. Also, I'm incredibly lazy right now. I can barely get out of bed. Come on! Where's that Canadian nice guy charm? Just do me a solid and review the game.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love the game, but I just don't have time for this. I already have the rest of the Marvel Marathon on my plate as is, and besides, what do I get out of this?
A few subs and some extra views, I guess.
Well, good enough for me. Let's take a look at Destroy All Humans.
I think if you look up underrated in the dictionary, I'm fairly certain this is the first thing that'll come up. Destroy All Humans is the creation of Pandemic Studios, who besides being known for the good Star Wars Battlefront games, they were also the ones developing the Dark Knight movie tie-in before being shut down by EA. Rest in peace. Published by THQ, the game is a GTA clone, but with one major twist that sets it apart from the rest. Instead of playing as the humans and repelling the alien invasion to save the Earth, they decide to flip it on its head to where you are the would-be invader, decimating everything in your path. Let's also set the game in 1950s America and pay homage to many of the classic sci-fi movies of the time, and that, my friends, is Destroy All Humans in a nutshell. This, along with its sequel, are among some of my other favorites from that damn blockbuster phase I love bringing up so much. I don't remember getting very far as a kid, but I didn't care much just because of how fun the game was. The second game's multiplayer alone was definitely a time sink for me and my siblings. For this video, we're sticking with the PlayStation 2 original, but we'll be playing the game via the 2016 port released for PS4. It basically bumps up the frame rate and makes the textures a bit prettier, but other than that, it's the same game overall.
Well, I guess we have no choice but to jump right in and talk about the story.
The game begins with the military testing out a rocket in the desert.
Of course!
During the test, a flying object that appears to be unidentified is hit by the rocket, which even though the creature survives, it ends up getting captured by the surrounding officials. Cut to a mothership where our leader, Orthopox 13, chats with our lovable alien Cryptosporidium 137, and we find out why our previous clone was sent to Earth in the first place. So their race, which is known as Furons, have been keeping themselves alive thanks to cloning technology. But as a result, each clone degrades in certain aspects. But long ago they did the nasty with some humans, and as a result they retained pure Furon DNA for generations to come. So with this information, Crypto and Pox make their way to Earth to continue where 1 through 6 left off, track down his body if possible,
And destroy all humans!
Thanks, Pox. It's good to know you're looking out for my best interests.
And that's pretty much it as far as the setup. Stuff does escalate with Crypto at odds with the military and the shadowy organization known as Majestic, but everything for the most part is pretty straightforward. If there's anything that keeps the story interesting, it's the writing and humor. While juvenile at times, almost every joke manages to make me laugh, and the over-the-top voice acting elevates it to an extreme level. From pedestrians to the soldiers patrolling the streets, they each have something to say and it can be hilarious at times.
It's tearing me apart!
Did they really take inspiration from Tommy Wiseau of all people?
Speaking of voice acting, let's talk about our main characters. Richard Horvitz of Invader Zim and Jimmy Neutron fame voices the unforgettable Orthopox. As for Crypto, he's played by J. Grant Albrecht, I can't even pronounce that, who's best known for... yeah, just this series. He's a fun, chaotic narcissist, and he's got the best goddamn Jack Nicholson impression you've ever seen. Overall, the story is highly enjoyable and is one of my favorite things about this game. The comedy alone is worth playing through the game, and the writing keeps me coming back with entertaining characters and interesting scenarios.
Let's move on to gameplay. The sooner we get through this and make him happy, the better.
It seems appropriate we start by talking about your tools of destruction. Throughout the game, Crypto will unlock various weapons and abilities to help him kill and maim people in glorious fashion. Let's begin with the first weapon you unlock, which is the Zap-O-Matic. With this you shoot bolts of electricity, and this is the most common weapon for you to use. Also unlocked right away is the Anal Probe, which does exactly what you think it does. It helps with collecting DNA, but personally I don't use it for much else. Next is my favorite weapon in the game, and that is the Disintegrator Ray. This just demolishes everything in its path, and when fully upgraded, there's no other need for any other weapon. Lastly, there's the Ion Detonator, which is basically a grenade launcher, and it's fucking powerful. I use this for vehicles like police cars and tanks, and other obstacles like Tesla coils and such. To fire each of them, it requires you to press R1, with the triggers used for switching between them. Next, let's talk about the power that is Psychokinesis, which by holding L1 and pressing certain face buttons, you can do a lot of wonderful things, including lifting enemies and objects in the air, hypnotizing individuals, scanning thoughts, and extracting brains from people's heads. There's another ability known as holobobbing that by pressing circle and facing a human, it allows you to take disguises and sneak into areas which helps for specific missions. PK is incredibly fun to abuse for sure, but every time you use it, they drain your concentration meter, so say you holobob, be sure to scan thoughts very often, even if they get annoying at times.
There you go. The sexiest word in the English language? Tupperware.
What alien isn't complete without a flying saucer, and this is actually a pretty cool one. Not only is it quick on its feet, but it also has an impressive arsenal, and just like with the ground weapons, certain ones unlock over the course of the game. Besides the Death Ray you start with, there's the Sonic Boom, which I don't care for, and the Quantum Deconstructor, which is a great secondary weapon, and just like with the Disintegrator, it fucks shit up. There's also the Abducto Beam, which I completely forgot about until I started recording footage. Even though I do enjoy the saucer, there are some issues for sure, like the fact that it is stiff when you're turning to face another direction. Also, one weird thing for me is the fixed altitude. For the most part it's fine since the maps are small and designed around it, but it still feels like a strange oversight at times. Besides the saucer, you also have a jetpack, which is cool, but it's more of a detriment than an asset. It runs out of fuel quickly, and to get extra distance, you need to keep mashing the X button, and it just gets monotonous. Also, you take fall damage, which is never fun. The gameplay overall is a blast, and I can definitely go back to this no problem. While the controls may be alienating, by modern conventions, it almost becomes second nature very early on, and I kinda like how weird it may seem. One thing that is hard to come back to is realizing that Crypto is a glass cannon. This is extremely apparent, especially when you're in the saucer and you come into contact with the missile launchers. My advice for you is to keep your distance and to never stay still.
Oh, with that said, let's see what else this game has to offer by talking about the other stuff.
Let's talk about the locations you'll be invading first. Turnipseed Farm is where you first make contact, and it's a farm?
Fuck right off. Fuck off.
There isn't really much to say since you're here for the first level and that's it. After that we have the town surrounding it, Rockwell, the sunny Santa Modesta, Area 42, which is a base for Majestic, and the Washington DC capital city. I didn't forget about Uniontown. You did. Each of them stand apart in their own unique ways, and I enjoyed them as a whole. Kinda wish they were a bit more lively, but I'm not expecting it to be Liberty City. Even if that would have been possible. In each area there are side missions to mess around with, and they are just so lame. They mainly consist of simple tasks like killing 6 humans or racing to a specific point. In general, they're just not worth your time. Also in each area are sets of probes from the Mothership which nets you some extra DNA, which is nice, but isn't worth it either. They do earn some cool rewards like concept art, animatics, and also both Teenagers from Outer Space and Plan 9 from Outer Space, which you can watch. I mentioned DNA, but I guess I should mention what it's used for. Brain stems are used as currency for upgrading your abilities, weapons, and your saucer. The way of unlocking new upgrades can be a little weird though, since certain ones unlock after a mission and it feels completely random. As mentioned, you collect them by extracting brains, killing people with the anal probe, and also just collecting the probes that are scattered around. It has a secondary purpose, and it's such a baffling design choice. To progress through the game, you need to collect a certain amount of brain stems at sporadic points.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
I get the idea, but just to halt the game so you can raise an arbitrary number to simply advance is frustrating and is probably the worst thing about this game. Thankfully there's a code to give you DNA, so keep doing it when you need it and you'll be fine.
Cheats are the way to go for me.
Invincibility and infinite ammo work wonders too, especially since this game can get difficult in the latter half. It's nothing impossible, but it can sneak up on you with certain enemies or situations. Another issue I have with the levels is the lack of checkpoints and the repetition of dying. When you die during the mission, you're sent back to the Mothership to be cloned. Well, it's cool seeing a new numbered clone. The problem is that all the progress you made in the level is gone, and when the level is super long, it's excruciating. Being able to start back at your last checkpoint would have been nice rather than having this one and done bullshit. I don't know where else to put this, but word of advice, put the cheat in and makes all the upgrades available once they unlock right away. It'll help. Graphics are good for the generation and have held up quite well. It ain't winning awards, but nothing looks inherently bad. Maybe the human models, but that's it, really. Music is really good too. It definitely fits with the 50s B-movie vibe while also being grand and exciting. As for the bosses... meh. Out of the 3 of them, none of them are particularly memorable or interesting. Armquest can take the hits, but he'll go down in time. Roboprez has some cheap moves, but is nothing you'll lose sleep over. And Silhouette is just pathetically easy.
Alright, time to wrap up the video.
Wait! There's still the remake to talk about!
Come on, man.
Well, you talked about Return to Arkham, you can talk about this.
Talk about surprise of the century, right? I can't tell you the emotions that were felt upon seeing the reveal trailer at E3 2019. Black Force Games were the ones in charge of bringing this classic back to life, and I was a bit nervous to say the least. Most of that was mainly due to their previous work, which includes the Guiana Sisters and Bub's.
Sorry. This tends to happen when somebody brings up forgotten 90s video game mascots.
My worries would be washed away upon seeing the gameplay demo soon after, and every other gameplay trailer after that. I was so hyped to the point where I pre-ordered the cheap collector's edition. Broke the cow though. I was tempted to buy the more expensive one, but $400 is way too much for me. But you never know. Props in the future. Anyway, getting into the actual game, it looks incredible. It's not a God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn, but it'll get the job done visually. Also gotta say the cartoony aesthetic works for this series, but I will admit some of the human models can look a bit strange at times. The music and the voice acting is carried over from the original, which is fine and all. I will say that the voice lines are weirdly mixed in and sound like they came straight from the booth.
They eat with their mouths? I think I'm going to be violently ill.
One of the biggest changes you'll notice right off the bat is the revamped control scheme, which was weird for me at first since I was so used to the original, but I ultimately warmed up to it and I can go back to either. The concentration meter is gone, so you don't have to worry about how much PK you use. Also, you don't take any fall damage, and you can glide in the air with your jetpack. Also, the additions of a lock-on and dash really make this feel modern and are welcome additions. The saucer was overhauled too, and it's for the better. You're able to control your altitude, which is nice. It's quick and buttery smooth, which is great, and now you can point the laser downward, which helps plenty. Also, the abducto beam is no longer a separate weapon, and you're also able to heal yourself, which is fantastic and beats the original saucer by default. Levels now have side objectives which not only net you more DNA, but also unlock a pretty cool reward. But also say you miss one, you can now replay levels with a holodeck, which is great. Some of my least favorite missions, however, can be a nightmare to complete because the challenges don't really give you much leeway and makes the levels more difficult. As for the rewards, certain missions unlock costumes and they are fucking fantastic. My favorites include the classic Crypto skin, the Pale Rider, which was inspired by Darksiders, also owned by THQ, and the BFG that is based on the developers and is part of the skin pack. Since the game's launch, they've added some other outfits, including some Christmas costumes and even one made out of
Gold!
Last major addition that got heavily advertised was a cut level from the original game that was added back in. While it is a really neat addition, the level itself isn't all that great. It's not bad, it's just nothing special. I like that it adds some context for the level right after, but it's a pretty standard mission, and not really a memorable one at that. One of my favorite details is that some levels get recontextualized so they can be more coherent. One example involves you disguised as the mayor redirecting suspicions from the previous levels in front of a crowd of people. Instead of taking place at nighttime like in the original, the remake has it take place in the day now, which is much more appropriate. Another mission has you messing with TV antennas so you can control people's minds. This now takes place at night since more people would realistically be home by then. It's a small thing, but I genuinely like that attention to detail. Probes and minigames are somewhat changed, but like the original, they aren't too substantial to really talk about. While we're on changes, what the fuck do they do to the final boss? RoboPrez is really nothing, especially if you have the Repulsatron, which is a new upgrade I forgot to talk about. But Silhouette has been made much more difficult, which I appreciate the fact that they tried to spice it up, but this is just overkill. It was so bad the developers had to patch the game to make it somewhat easier to beat.
Let that sink in for a minute or two.
If there's one major issue I have, it's the fact that Pox will not shut the fuck up. They decided to record new voice lines, which is a neat idea in theory, but every 5 seconds, he chimes in whenever you do anything, and it gets annoying. Fast! Overall, the remake is fantastic and is the best version of the game. The gameplay enhancements and replayability with the level select and alternate outfits keeps me coming back. The devs did a great job of retaining what made the original so interesting and fun, while also injecting some needed life into it to keep it fresh and relevant. If you happen to play the original and it didn't cut it for you, I assure you the remake will be a better experience overall. Hell, without its announcement, it wouldn't have led me to rediscover my love for this series, and I probably would have forgotten about it like everyone else did. So yeah, go buy it. It's only $30, which is a steal, so get it for your Xbox One, PS4, PC, and even your Nintendo Switch.
Anyway, time for my final thoughts, and I don't know if I could make myself clear on where I stand with this game.
Destroy All Humans is an absolute gem of a game that I think fans of sandbox-type experiences need to play at some point in their lives. There's so much to like and enjoy here, ranging from the satisfying gameplay, entertaining story, memorable characters, wacky set pieces, and clever writing. Seriously, Crypto and Pox alone make this game at least worth a playthrough. It isn't all perfect, since the control can be really stiff and the difficulty curve for later in the campaign can be annoying or downright frustrating at times. Even so, the feeling of seeing a building crumble to pieces or using my psychic power to throw a robot into a lake chills my nerves a bit, and makes playing through those levels I didn't like a bit more bearable. At the end of the day, this is a heavily underrated title that is not only a fun footnote from the PlayStation 2 era, but it's a nice distraction that deserves a little bit more love, I feel. This game is very important to me, and as a fan of this series, it's been interesting looking back and seeing its evolution over the years. From its humble beginnings and rise of popularity with the first 2 entries, its downfall and literal death from a Wii spin-off and a third game that was mishandled severely, to a resurgence with a beautiful recreation from a development team which you can tell really loves the source material. From the looks of it, the future's looking really good for our little Furon friend, and I'm really excited to see what Black Forest Games has in store for this series. As for this little cult classic, I recommend playing this on whatever console you own, whether it be for Xbox, PS2, PS4, or PS4. Finding a copy is pretty common, so give it a try and just maybe you'll be interested in seeing where the series goes from here. For better or for worse.
Whew, we're done now.
Now on to Destroy All Humans 2!
Fuck off.
Alright, I'll stop.
Thank you. Now excuse me while I let out some frustration.
Mendoza!
Seriously? You're like the 100th person to make that joke, by the way.
I thought it'd be funny.
But everyone could see that coming a mile away!
Well, they clicked on the video, so it was bound to come up at some point.
I mean, sure, I guess.
Anyway, this was actually pretty fun to go back and play, so thanks. Now plug your shit before I change my mind.
You can follow me over at my channel, GodzillaMendoza. Go watch, I did a video on Ninja Turtles about the time that this came. Go watch that. Hey, but seriously, when are you getting to Dead Space?
Get out of here!
Alright, leaving.
Not a Spider-Man channel, my ass. Anyway, no more stalling. You know what's coming up next. And until it releases, I hope you all have a great night. Thank you all so much for watching. And take care of yourselves.
And so, the world breathes a sigh of relief. The threat of alien invasion proved a false alarm. As for those who scan the skies for a real visit from outer space, they may be in for a very long wait. Perhaps the lesson is that we should turn our gaze inward, remembering that man's worst enemy is often himself.
Hi everyone, got another end video message. Hopefully we're not taking too long with this one because the last time I did that, it was a 14-minute video which almost turned into a 20-minute video, so don't want to do that. And we're not setting up the camera because my room's kind of a mess and I just didn't feel like it. So webcam it is. But first of all, a huge thank you to GodzillaMendoza, aka Xavier, fuck, that's so weird to say out loud, but whatever, for being a part of this video. You know, this was something that has been in the works in my mind since 2020, so about 2 years ago I asked him, shortly after the first remake came out, if he was interested, and he agreed to it, you know, doing a small bit part, which I was cool with, because, you know, he's busy with his own things. I didn't want to badger him, you know, right away, because I knew that he had his own channel to run, and, you know, since the remake for the second game was coming out, I was like, hey, you still interested in being in the video? And he was like, yeah. So, I gotta say, it was quite the collaborative effort on my end. He could say the exact opposite, but you know, I thought it was really good. You know, I tried to be accommodating as possible, looking over the script, seeing if there was anything that needed to be changed, and he was just really cool to work with. So hopefully we can work together again on another project, which in my mind I don't see happening, but you know, fingers crossed. So yeah, Xavier, if you're watching this, I just want to say thank you so much for making fanboys dream come true, you know, because this has been on the YouTube bucket list for such a long time, and you know, you were such an inspiration for me when I started this review channel. So yeah, so I just gotta say, I can't say it enough times, but thank you for everything. You know, you were such a wonderful you're such a wonderful human being, and you know, I wish you all the best. But in terms of Spider-Man, yes, it is next. I'm not going to try and push it off to the side again. I'm going to try and get it out by the end of September, and I'm sure by the time this video goes out, I've already started working on it. But, yeah, it is... That's going to be a really good one for sure, and I'm really excited to end the Marvel Marathon with a bang, with the review that's coming after that, so... Can't wait, honestly, I really can't. But there's not really much that needed to be said for that. But yeah, so stay tuned. I hope you all enjoyed this video. This was such a big passion project for me to work on, and I'm glad to kind of break away from the norm just for a little bit. And yeah, it was so much fun. So yeah, I hope you guys, watch the Spider-Man video when it comes out. I hope you all have a great night. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, don't forget to take care of yourselves. See ya.